Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to SEO UnMasked, episode number 73, July 18th, 2019. Thanks for joining us over the lunch hour. It's been a while. I'm Garrett Groff.
I'm Ben.
Steve Bromley.
So, how was Spain for Barcelona?
Barcelona was nice.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys get anything out of it?
We might do in the long run.
It was interesting. Like, no one does organic search for affiliate stuff, apparently. It's all shady paid traffic.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think there would have been like 10% there that would do it, but finding those people when it's like 90% paid, I think you got to have a booth at those affiliate things if you're in SEO so that people know to come and talk to you, because you're not going to bump into people at random. Like, we bumped into like 4 people the whole time that did anything to do with SEO. Everyone else was just paid.
That sounds very much like Affiliate Summit. That's why I stopped going to Affiliate Summit, because it's all paid and talk SEO, and you get looked at like you have 10 heads.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a booth at Affiliate Summit West in Vegas in January, just because there's no one else competing. So the 10% that are there will be the only people to talk to.
Yeah, I've never been to West, and any excuse to go to Vegas is a good excuse, right?
So word agents will also be exhibiting at Affiliate Summit. There we go, guys. If you want to join us in January, it's like the last week of January, Affiliate Summit West. And the good news for you guys not exhibiting is I think the networking pass is only like $125 or something. So it looks like the cheapest American conference I've ever seen, I think. So
I'm pretty sure that Traffic Think Tank Live is going to be in Miami this year. So
yeah, that's what Nick said.
That'll be a lot better. That'll be a lot better.
That'll be a fun trip.
I was trying to get him to move it a week earlier so that it's right after Affiliate Summit West, because I can't really be away for 3.5 weeks. But if he makes it a week earlier, I can just fly at the weekend to Miami and go to the conference, then come home. So
yeah, I asked Chris from Rhodium the same thing. His Rhodium conference is 2 weeks before PubCon. So I was like, well, I can't come to both and just sit around for a week in Vegas and do nothing. So unfortunately, it's just PubCon this year.
Well, you could play Baccarat. I'm sure that would go pretty well.
Yeah, or just red roll the entire week.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play Baccarat, and I've never known what's going on. So I've been watching this. I've been watching this DJing on YouTube to get a feel for it, and I had a quick $40 spin at an online casino and won a nice 200. So I'm going to be going with a 200 bankroll in Vegas and see how my Baccarat luck holds up.
Our show during that week should just be gambling strategies and have nothing to do with SEO.
Yeah. Apologies for you guys who've waited a month for us to come back, and so far we have talked about conferences, but if you're going to have conferences in Vegas, Baccarat's going to come up. So
there you go.
That was a reasonable segue. Vin's Mr. Blackjack though, so you won't drag him away from those blackjack tables.
Yeah, I only lose everywhere else. At blackjack, sometimes I win. So might as well stick with that.
That always helps.
Cool. So let's jump into the news. Who's got the hate agent article here? Facebook.
I think that was one of Steve's from like a month ago.
Yeah, I can't even get the site to load without some things popped up. Yeah, don't visit Zero Hedge without your ad blocker turned on. I seem to not have it turned on at the minute for some reason. Yeah, it seems pretty controversial how they're going to designate things. It's a little bit like Orwellian, I guess.
Yeah, there was a tweet out that something got leaked, and it says that Facebook is now monitoring offline behavior to decide if you're a quote-unquote hate agent. And they evaluate who you're seen with, comments about immigration, your tattoos, if you're a neutral person, and what you say in private. And I guess that's if you allow Facebook to access to your microphone, right?
Well, I think if you use Facebook Messenger at all,
yeah, it's just tracking your GPS and it's tracking all conversations.
yeah, who you're near, who lives in the same house as you, who you're friends with.
Fortunately, in my old age, Facebook isn't really something that I'm too concerned with using or getting rid of if necessary.
Well, I don't think anyone uses it anymore. Like the young people have moved on to other things. It's kind of like a holdover just to send pictures to your people's grandparents and stuff.
Yeah.
They haven't moved up yet. It's a family photo sharing app more.
It's just another way for me to connect with clients at this point. You know, some clients just want to talk on Facebook Messenger and whatever. Might as well stick around for that.
Yeah. Everyone still has Skype. Just make them talk to you on Skype. Although I guess you're not really talking about any politically sensitive issues with your clients.
No, not really. So Moz Local 301's to Uberall. What's all this about?
Is that the next one?
That's the next one, yeah, from Local SEO Guy.
What happened to Pamela Lund?
Oh yeah, there's another one. There's a Twitter. So what was happening with Pamela Lund was, so she does a lot of AdWords stuff, and Google reps have been emailing suggestions to her clients, even though she's like the agency managing the account, and they're rather accusatory about her competence, even though they're the ones that are completely incompetent. Because if you were good at AdWords, you wouldn't work in a sausage factory at Google sending stupid emails to people about tweaking a setting. You'd be working at an agency getting paid proper money to do AdWords for clients. So it's not surprising to me that the people that work in the call center in inverted commas, but I guess it's a messaging center, not a call center. But I'm not surprised that they're idiots, but they should probably just leave agency managed accounts alone.
Yeah, you would think.
Well, like she points out, they're selling Google's products, and then Google's poking their nose in, saying, "Oh, this person that recommended Google's an idiot. Do this instead." It's like, well, unhelpful.
I honestly don't know what article you're referring to right now. Are you looking at is this
it's the second link on the industry news on the document. It's
there we go.
Pamela Lund.
Oh, I missed that.
So thanks for sharing, Pamela. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So what's up with this 301 Moz Local 301 Uberall? I don't know what Uberall is.
It's some kind of service provider that does similar things to Moz Local was doing. I guess they're going to just use their services going forward and not offer all the stuff that Moz Local used to do. I'm kind of surprised because at one point during the Rand Fishkin era, Moz Local was the only profitable bit of Moz. I'm guessing that must have changed if they're looking to scale it back.
That was when they were confused if they were a content company or a tool company, if my memory serves me correctly. And then Moz Local was like the only thing that remained profitable through that confusion. But yeah,
I have my suspicions that the only reason it was profitable was it was a new tool and people were using it, and then after a year, everyone figured out it was dog shit and didn't really do anything.
Well, I know you didn't like it at all.
Yeah, and there was other specialist services that just did it better too.
Right. So I could totally see now it's not profitable at all, and why even bother fucking with it,
I've never once used any Moz tools other than Open Site Explorer, like the freebie plan they give you.
Yeah.
And I use that minimally at best. I never really got any value out of it.
No, there was an interesting Twitter discussion about Moz where Dr. Pete tweeted out like he found a feature in Moz that he didn't know about, and someone commented that that's the problem. Everyone has an SEO now. Like no one knows what Moz really does anymore, so nobody even looks. And I think that's kind of a big problem for them.
Yeah.
You know, like if we hadn't looked on purpose for doing a discussion about it on the show, I guess we wouldn't have realized that their index was bigger than Ahrefs.
And the other thing,
whether it's better, that's obviously a separate discussion. But
the other thing, that their marketing for their tool is like non-existent compared to SEMrush and Ahrefs. Like you see those guys everywhere, and those guys are inside like the Facebook groups. They're there to answer questions. You don't really get that kind of service through Moz. So I think they're shooting themselves in the foot too by just not being available.
Well, I think that's a carry forward from Brand's ideology that a technology company should have no customer support at all. So you couldn't bring them, they couldn't do anything. So that was kind of their ethos, was that they would offer no support, and I think that's clearly just carried forward in their culture. That whereas like Ahrefs, although some of the characters they have out there representing them are a little bit quirky, at least they're out there trying to represent them and get their name out there, and like you say, answer questions. And SEMrush are hugely visible. I mean, there'll probably be like 50 of them at Brighton SEO in September.
Yeah.
You know, they fly in like the whole office, it looks like sometimes. You know, it's
they send people to like local SEO meetups too. Like I've gone to like rinky dink like meetups where there's 10 people there, and there's an SEMrush rep like with handing out like cards and zip USB drives, flash drives.
They're a huge company though. I mean, they're way bigger than Moz. I think they're just more of a traditional company. Like if you speak to a sales rep, you can get a deal. Like, oh, you know, if I pay for 2 years up front, can you do me a deal and that kind of stuff? They'll do you a deal. It's all just like a proper company that B2B people are used to buying from. So I imagine in the big corporate space, it's much easier to get a decent deal in an enterprise scale SEMrush account than it is to figure out what you're even supposed to do with Moz to get an enterprise account. Assuming one would even want one. I can't think what you'd want one for, but if you did want one, I don't know how you would get one either. So
cool. The next two links that we actually, did you just change this? We got another tweet here. Let's see.
Oh, it's just from Ahrefs. It's just a little graph showing of all the Wix domains out there, people using Wix for hosting, only 1.4% of those domains actually have organic traffic of some sort.
Well, that's one of our featured stories this week, that Wix is absolutely dominating in hosting for people with no traffic. I mean, that's a niche that WordPress is just getting absolutely killed on by Wix here. I mean, they've got to up their game and get more people with no traffic to host on WordPress.
But you see more Wix advertising than anything else.
Yeah.
So they're really just fucking pulling the wool over everybody's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is it's terrible, and the people using it are kind of just getting fooled by this whole, oh, look, you can, I mean, you've seen the adverts, it's got like someone, oh, I launched my new hairdressers and beauty salon, and look, I can just drag my pictures around and move things about with my mouse.
Yeah.
You know what these people actually go and create when they jump on Wix doesn't look anything like what the graphic designer on the website creates. They end up with some abomination with broken links, nothing working, pictures in the wrong place, like some awful blurry pictures you can't even make out.
We had a client at one time that would have us create 4 versions of every article, and one would go on his main money site, and then the other 3 would go on like Medium, Wix, and Squarespace. So part of the deal is that we would post in there for him, and man, both Squarespace and Wix, just posting a blog post was an ordeal. Like 25 minutes for a single blog post, just uploading it and publishing.
I guess free ain't it free?
Yeah, that is true.
But I mean, you can get WordPress for free, so.
Yeah, but it's a lot more intuitive than these self-hosted
It's got a bit more fiddly with this what do they call it,
Gutenberg, yeah. I'm still using Thrive. So,
yeah, same.
Yeah.
As long as they don't break Thrive, I don't care. I know Garrett uses Divi, so I guess as long as it doesn't break Divi, although Divi seems to be breaking itself, it just keeps getting slower every time they update it. So
yeah,
kind of annoying.
Well, they have WordPress has that plugin that reverts it back to the old TCE Tiny Editor, but that's only going to be supported for about another year and a half. So either I got to hope that somebody else is going to take that plugin over and keep supporting it, or in about a year and a half, I'm transferring over to Gutenberg.
Well, you would think someone out there is gonna
Yeah.
run.
I think WordPress might fork. Like I can honestly see like a WordPress traditional fork when support for that dies. So I think it's going to make more sense for someone to fork the entire thing and not have to deal with WordPress breaking their editor every time they do an update, which is what's going to happen because they're just going to make everything completely different.
Yeah.
Once they don't have to support it anymore, it's going to be a nightmare keeping that working and keeping it working with plugins and keeping it working with. I can see a fork maybe, or it just dying. I think it's going to be really hard to maintain if WordPress can just change things and they don't have to care about you anymore, and you've got to fix it every time.
Yeah. Well, Jared said that he's gotten the basic Gutenberg install to a point where he just has it. He's got like 5 blocks. They call them like Gutenberg blocks that you can use for different functions. And those 5 blocks cover everything he could possibly need. So I think it's just a matter of dialing in on what you're going to use with all these new features and sticking to that.
Yeah, I think for most of us, when the support ends, just sucking it up and using it's going to be the easiest option if we're not using another plugin like Thrive or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's like all these things. Once it's gone, you kind of nostalgically hang on and wish it hadn't gone, but you're just making more work for yourself, which is kind of pointless. Just like Jared's done, just roll with it and make it as easy as you can for yourself.
It's just going to be a pain in the ass because if you have like an 1,000-page site, transferring from Thrive all back to WordPress is a pretty tedious process.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be suboptimal.
But the next one up on our list here, we got an email marketing guide from Backlinko. I think we did this one a couple weeks ago.
I don't have this Backlinko link.
It's a Twitter short link, yeah.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, I think we covered this a few weeks back.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's another one of those massive posts. If you guys, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, it's a good read. I didn't read it the first time, obviously, because I read it again this time.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty decent. I mean, I think he shares some pretty good like actionable tips and actual types of email and types of pages and types of lead magnet and stuff like that. So I think it was interesting how he's added a pop-up back, but it's an exit intent pop-up only and things like that, things that he'd taken away before and seen them work better. And I think he makes a good point, especially on the exit intent stuff. If someone's checking out anyway, you may as well pop that exit intent pop-up on, and even if you only get a few % of them to opt in to whatever your offer is, it's people you've lost anyway. But there's loads more cool stuff than that in there in terms of the way to format the emails, different titles that are working for it, and all kinds of stuff. So it seems like email's just as important, if not more important, to his selling his courses than organic search in the first place. I think without the email list and stuff, he would be struggling. It seems to be a huge contributor to his business. So I think we can all learn a little bit from that, because I know we don't use email anywhere near enough. Not even for our main business, we don't do enough emailing and stuff. So let alone our side projects. So I think seeing Brian's success with this is kind of a kick up the arse for everyone who isn't doing enough email to get back into doing some, because it's still doing huge for him. There's no email is dead stuff. People are opening these emails and they want them.
Yeah, I think a lot of affiliate SEOs kind of, even in 2019, are sleeping on email. In the past, I've had clients that who created email lists or segmented lists on their affiliate sites. They got hit hard by Google. They took that traffic drop, but their email list allowed them to kind of maintain revenue for a few months after that. After that ranking drop, and once the organic traffic dried up, because they had thousands of people on the list, and they could just hit it hard and make some money before they had to say goodbye to the site forever.
And I guess if you launch another site in a similar vertical, these lists that you're constantly collecting every time you burn a site, over the years, you're going to have a massive list, and you would have had nothing from sites that had died before if you didn't have a list. So,
yeah.
And it will help you launch a new site because you can be like, hey, check out my new site. The old one's dead. This one's even better.
In a perfect world, email and SEO should be done in parallel. It shouldn't be like, I think so many people look at it like, hey, I'm going to go get that SEO traffic and then I'm going to work on my email list. I think if it's something that you start from the beginning on a new site, you're going to get the revenue faster because you're going to have interested people on your list, and then it won't be so cumbersome after the fact. You're just going to start an email list from scratch, after you've done all this SEO work.
Do you know what's more stupid is when I used to be a spammer and be making churn and burn sites, I used to diligently have pop-ups and collect emails, and I don't think we're doing enough now at all. It's kind of stupid. Like, since going legit, I've stopped collecting emails as much. And I know we've got a few on one of our sites, but we really haven't got very many opt-ins. We haven't been very aggressive.
Yeah, I always have the basic opt-in, and I just connect it to MailChimp, but those lists just build, and I don't do anything with them. So it's definitely something that I'm slapping at and gotta get on to.
Yeah, stop leaving money on the table, boys.
Yeah. So this next one I added just for Steve because it's a non-SEO article.
I like non-SEO articles.
Yeah. It's just a little interesting tidbit about Wikipedia. I know we covered how North.
I know. Russia Times is the world's eminent news source as well. So.
Yeah, it's true though, because you can the second link is proof. But basically, Wikipedia has allowed Jeffrey Epstein's page to be heavily redacted to cut ties with any mention or any proof of his connection to Bill Clinton. So it seems a little shady. It seems like it's, this ties back to what we were talking about with the North Face a couple of weeks ago when, they got nailed for changing images. And this is kind of the opposite, where somebody's not getting nailed for removing truthful information. So
somewhere in my drawer, I have a Bill Clinton golf ball that's got his picture on, and it says "Slick Willy, a good lie guaranteed."
Yeah, there you go.
I had three of them originally though, and I only have one left. So I think the ball itself lives up to Slick Willy's reputation. The guarantee is also a lie because I never got a good lie. Two of them are in a lake.
So yeah, there's no shortage of Clinton conspiracy theories, but something like this kind of throws people on the fire.
You can't be mean to Slick Willy now. He looks like someone's dear old grandpa. He's like around, that sweet old man couldn't have done any harm.
Quite the powerful grandpa, I'd say.
Yeah.
So next one here. Insider blows whistle and exec reveals Google plan to prevent Trump situation in 2020 on hitting pan. Who added this?
I don't remember this. It could have been me, I guess. But isn't this the one that we kept getting tweeted about? Oh yeah, once someone was tweeting at us about this. So I don't know what it's about. Apparently this is a big story that was breaking a couple of weeks ago while we were away.
I didn't get. It's a 25-minute video. Maybe we'll just push it till next week so we have a chance to watch it here.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think the gist from the tweets was just that this was like they want to make sure pro-Trump news doesn't dominate in the results and stuff, and it's some internal meeting, but without watching the 25-minute video live. I don't think we should watch this. I don't think we should play this video live on the show, so we should probably discuss this one next week.
Sounds good. Next up, fastcompany.com. Google's new reCAPTCHA has a dark side.
Yeah, so what's happening with this is instead of making you click on pictures of trucks and stuff and which ones has traffic lights, the new version of reCAPTCHA, they want you to install it on all pages in your site, including logged in areas, and it monitors your behavior constantly and decides if you're human or not based on how you use the site, which apparently is harder for bots to emulate. It's also led to me being repeatedly locked out of my Hilton Honors account because I use a Ward wallet to track my balance, and it's obviously a bot. And I want the bot to track my balance. So yeah, but yeah, no. Obviously lets Google then just have all of this tons of information about every user on your site under the purported benefit of blocking bots, which it may or may not do a good job of anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just another data grab by the big G. Which
it seems like these days, like with all these, it's a full-time job to just be aware of what data is being collected by all the apps that you use on a daily basis. It seems like a losing battle to me.
Yeah, I think the key is just to not use the internet anymore. So next week's show will be on PBS.
Yeah, and we'll be taking questions by snail mail. So you better send them right now if you want to be.
Yeah, no, the answers on a postcard. Will be on PBS.
Yep, there you go.
We'd probably have more viewers on PBS, to be fair. I mean, people would wonder what on God's green earth this show was, but there would still be more people didn't bother getting up and turning it off than we have on YouTube. So
we got 2 rants of the week this week.
Well, I mean, it's over a long period we've been away, so
there you go. Yeah.
Collected them up. I think if I remember right, because they are from a couple of weeks ago. One was good and one was bad, so we're lucky to have him do the first one. So yeah, the first one's just part of his anti-Google scraping everyone else's content ranting. It's just around that celebrity net worth thing. Which, for those of you who don't remember the original story, they deliberately put up a bunch of fake celebrities because Google tried to say in court that they weren't scraping them and that they were getting the information independently, and so Celebrity Net Worth made up 10 celebrities and Google scraped and indexed them, kind of disproving their. And there's a bunch of other there was a bunch of other discussions. People have done similar things to Google for lulz, like messing around with song lyrics that Google scrapes and all kinds of stuff. So there's like, and Rand's just pointing out it's a pattern of behavior. They've been caught several times claiming they don't do something, and then people have caught them by putting fake things in and then showing that they do.
And when Google gets caught doing this, what kind of recourse does the business owner have? None, right?
None really. I mean, they try it. You can try your luck in court.
Yeah, that's fucked up. I don't like that at all. Well, good find by Rand.
Yeah, the second one though is just Rand being his usual moronic Twitter self when he tries to find things that someone said that might be racist, and so Danny Sullivan takes a really, like someone we looked at these images before, and it's just like Google shows it has no idea what the race of any of these people in these images are. It's just seeing inventors. Some of these images have white background, wearing white shirt, and all kinds of stuff. So it's just pulling up a bunch of results. And someone's like, why aren't these all white inventors? Danny takes the time to explain that Google can't actually see the pictures. So, and because people tend not to write white inventor on any of the descriptions, there's no images that match. So it's just pulling up images of inventor. And they're going to be all different races and stuff, and get what you get. And then so Rand tries to turn that into it's Google's fault that people are racist and don't put white in. I don't even know what his argument is. Because for historic reasons, an African American inventor would have typically have that in their description of the image.
Yeah.
Our white American inventor would typically not have European Caucasian inventor or anything similar in their description or a Wikipedia entry. So he's trying to argue that I don't know what he thinks the solution is. Google should
it's just
ignore all of those queries, or Google or society should go back and edit all references to white people as Caucasian, European, American, I don't understand what his point is at all in this. It just seems totally insane.
It's just a call for attention to him. He knows that it can't be fixed, or he knows that this is not anything anybody ever thought of to look for in the first place. But he just wants to call attention to it, so he gets.
Well, and he's attacking the wrong person. Like he's like he's trying to say. But Danny's response seems to be that Google accepts their results are racist by treating whiteness as default. And that's not what Danny said. Danny said the data in public and the descriptions of the pictures treats whiteness as a default because of historic society reasons, which has got nothing to do with Google. And he's trying to turn it on that Google's admitting to being racist. And it's just nonsense. And obviously the original question asker that Danny took the time to answer is some kind of deranged racist lunatic with a Twitter feed that looks like a train wreck. So I mean, if Rand was choosing to attack him, fair enough. But to try and attack Danny again is just. And I get that he doesn't like Google. I mean, not many of us are keen on a lot of things Google's doing, but this whole obsession that he's almost as bad as the lunatic asking the first question in terms of just trying to find racism where it isn't there. Like the deranged lunatics trying to think Google's racist towards black people and excluding the white images, and Rand's thinking Google's being racist because it can't magically understand historical context when someone's just looking for some pictures of inventors. Both of them are just as crazy. Rand, I'll admit, is less offensive by quite, 17 orders of magnitude less offensive than the other guy, but both are pretty dumb in this discussion.
Yeah.
So that's why that one was a Rand of the week. I think that was a worthy Rand of the week. That was pretty stupid stuff.
Do you think that Rand eats checking cum tutorials?
I couldn't even pronounce that. I tried 3 times before the show and decided that I would just concede defeat this week.
What Garrett's been doing ever since I announced that I was opening a restaurant, a Japanese restaurant, he's been, any status update on Facebook I make about it, he's been asking me if some fictional dish is on the menu. And
you have to add one to the menu as a unique, and you can say the only restaurant in North America serving, and then one of Garrett's dishes. Save them all up, and be the only on your opening day. Be the only American restaurant serving, and have the chef just come up with something completely unique.
I'll just do a pre-launch campaign for the restaurant that only focuses on this one dish that doesn't exist.
I bet that would be more successful than anything that you've currently got planned, because that would get like media attention. I bet you could get the press out to be the first person in North America.
So are you going to have yakitori on the menu?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm making fun of.
Cool. So our main topic of the week is mytrafficresearches.com. Analysis of the June 2009 Google Core update.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting read, I thought.
But side note, this guy has been doing these updates for the Google updates for the past couple of them. I remember reading the one in March, and it was really good stuff. So
this is worth a deep dive, definitely. If you haven't read it, definitely read it in full.
Yeah, the gist of it kind of is that the core update had a lot to do with replacing sites that were maybe low to we'll call medium authority they would replace those that maybe like our site, for example, and people that we've talked to, low to medium authority sites that were replaced by super high authority sites, regardless if the page was relevant to the query or not, or maybe not as relevant. And it's just basically like who has the highest page rank all of a sudden is going to rank in certain verticals.
This is exactly what Google did after Penguin 2.1 back in 2014. So it's like it's like they're just cycling changes. It's like, okay, now it's about domain authority.
And I see that all the time in travel, and it's been a problem already that Google is returning these crap results even if they're not relevant. So I'll search for something like, how do I transfer Virgin points to Hilton? And I'll get and I don't know for this particular query, but that kind of question, and it will return the top 10 travel bloggers just reviewing the Hilton Aspire Amex card. because they're the highest authority pages and sites on the topic. It's like, well, that wasn't my goddamn freaking question, Google. It just doesn't care anymore. They're the highest authority results. They're the bad boys you're going to have to scroll through before you find your answer. And it used to be really good at providing long-term value because it would find that one little blog that had actually bothered to write about Virgin Atlantic miles and how to transfer them to Hilton and give you all the detail. And probably you're all going to Google that now in this example. It works perfectly. But I've been doing tons of research for some travel writing I'm trying to do. And it's a nightmare trying to get the right answer. Like you have to look really, like put in URL forum and just try and find the random fragments of the answer in forums, because you can't find the detailed answers on people's blogs anymore because Google's burying it. It's really frustrating as a user, I find.
Yeah, and this is just it's just going back to what we already did. So so now instead of going after long tails and being the most comprehensive article on a long tail, if your domain authority or domain rating don't aren't high enough, you're no longer going to rank. So niche research is going to go back to figuring out the average domain rating for a keyword, and you're going to have to figure that out for all the big keywords in your niche. And if you find one that's low competition and low DR, then you have something that's viable.
You need 5.edu links as well. Don't forget.
Yeah. There was a lot of
I have seen some people talking on Twitter. I should have saved the tweets, but some people are starting to see some kind of refresh of what happened last June in some small verticals. We've noticed it pretty heavily in health and finance for the most part, where like some clients of ours in the finance space that were dominating lots of long tail stuff and even some really competitive short tail keywords. It's not like they got wiped out. They would just go from having number 1 spot or number 2 or number 3 even, and getting great traffic down to the bottom of page 1 or the top of page 2.
And it's all like bankrate.com.
Yeah, and the queries don't match. Like the search that's getting returned doesn't help the user at all. It's just like we're going for big branded companies all of a sudden. Like Ben was saying back after Penguin 2.
It was crazy because I did a really heavy content update optimization on like a set of 10 pages, and all 10 pages ranked on the first page, and like within a week after this update. But then the core update came out, and all those pages were relegated back to spots 10 to 15, and they were replaced with sites like Mashable, BuzzFeed, YouTube videos.
I hate seeing those kind of general news sites with articles in the SERPs for specific for queries, informational queries, because their information is so weak. It's written by a non-specialist journalist covering the topic. Like I don't want to read what a journalist thinks about business life insurance, but that's the kind of crap that's showing up now for those kind of queries, and it's especially one at BuzzFeed. I mean, Jesus Christ, I really don't care what a business.
I ran a Surfer SEO and a website auditor analysis on the new pages that appeared because of their domain authority, and those pages aren't like, they don't fit the correlation of the rest of the SERP. Like they don't match. So it's not even an on-site thing. It's just pure domain authority.
Well, that was one of the things this study showed, was that on-sites become less important through the update, which I guess makes sense. Of course it has, if they've increased the dial on authority. But I think, I wrote about this and we talked about it on the show before. Before this update came, I wrote that Google was going to have to turn to more authority because people are getting better using AI tools and to analyze the top 10 pages, and it lets them optimize their page better. The difference in quality between pages is reducing. So it's hard, and Google has no way to tell which one's actually good. And I went through loads of examples in my post on Builder Society, but there's no way for Google until AI is another 5-10 years along the road for it to tell the difference. So they're going back to basics and relying on what they know is hard to get, and that's good links, because they've already made the automated easy ways of getting links less effective.
And another thing that I noticed analyzing my niche is the high DA sites that took over, their backlink profiles aren't relevant. So when we talk about topical relevance, you know, they weren't getting, you know, if it's an article about pets, they aren't getting links to that page from pet sites. It's just
everyone's way too obsessed with that shit at the minute. Like, I know that from the orders we get in, everyone's putting, you know, relevance has always been something we've believed in general terms. Like, it should be, the article that the link is in should be relevant, but to get it to the point where the level of obsession people have, it's just not borne out in any data that's how Google's taking things into account.
Yeah, it's from what I gather, right now it's just a bum rush to links. You just got to get a fucking fuck ton of links and then keep up your link velocity to match your competitors after that. Kind of like you spoke about in your guest post.
Yeah.
But for me, that's a pretty big gap. I got to. That's why I'm doing my outreach too. Just because I got to cover about 600 referring domains.
Yeah, and you got a lot of pages as well.
Yeah. So we're doing two big link baits, and we're running about 3 to 4 outreach campaigns for each of them. I'm hoping to get about 200 referring domains, but we'll see. That case study will be done around September.
Well, that's a third of your shortfall covered then. So.
Yeah. And you know, between what you guys do for us, and then we'll do some you know, ongoing link building. Hopefully, by this time next year, I could be close, if not there, to covering that gap. But
yeah, well, you'll overtake some people in the meantime.
Yeah.
It's not like you just go from nowhere and suddenly you'll overtake people constantly through the process. So.
Yeah. So, you know, the TLDR for this post is you need more links.
Which, you know, brings us to the point. Garrett and I do links, reachcreator.com, and we're exhibiting at Brighton SEO as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if people that regularly watch the show, I think I said that our biggest site took a pretty big hit right around the core update. We lost about 60% of traffic. And, you know, I wasn't totally convinced it was all from the core update. And what we found was there was a few things that happened all at once. So we run the site on Divi because I'm a terrible web designer and that's what I have to use. But the day before the core update supposedly launched, we got switched over to 100% mobile indexing, and I wasn't aware that we had some massive issues in Divi, and Googlebot couldn't crawl the fucking site. All of a sudden, I looked in Search Console, had, you know, it's like a 300-page site, 250 of the pages couldn't be crawled by the mobile Googlebot. So, you know, that can cause an issue with shit. And at the same time, you know, for the last 14 months, we've seen traffic increase from anywhere from 5 to 25% month over month, every single month. So I would expect some sort of, you know, what do you call it? What's the fucking word? Not adjustment. Like a stock correction, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Correction in the market, whatever the word is.
I hear what you're saying.
But not like 60%. So for us, it was a combination of, we have some serious back-end issues that we're still trying to get fixed, plus some sort of correction. You know, core update obviously hit the medical health field very hard. Yeah, it looks like we're starting to see a little bit of traffic coming back, which is great.
I think after the site migration, when it's on its fresh install with all the bugs fixed, it'll be quite a drastic fix up. I think probably we lost 20% due to the core update, and the rest due to the mobile indexing, and suddenly Googlebot not being able to crawl everything, and then the site. Then there's something went wrong with Divi, and the site was taking 12 seconds to load, 9 seconds at best, and it was just a whole bunch of chaos at once.
Yeah, and another problem we're having is, you know, I started running Ezoic ads around the same time as well, and we found out that Googlebot is having a hell of a time rendering all this Ezoic shit. Like, the site itself will load in 9 seconds, which is not great. That's because of the issues we're having on the back end. But all the shit getting loaded via Ezoic for the ads is so messed up, it's adding another 10 seconds until the page is fully rendered. And if Googlebot sees that its scripts are getting cut off, it'll stop crawling before it finishes rendering the entire page. rendering the page relatively null and useless in its eyes. And this is like the first time I've ever had such a big issue with crawling, not necessarily indexation, because all the pages are indexed, but you can definitely expect a slap on the wrist for.
Yeah, I wouldn't use Izoic, to be honest, if anyone's thinking about it. Like the ads are horrific. The design, the way it looks, it just reduces the quality and appearance of your site massively. And then you add these issues with Googlebot. That's an ad platform I would stay.
The only plus I see through it so far is the earnings are much better than just straight up using AdSense, which is nice, but at the cost of losing. I can't give an exact number on how much traffic we lost just because of Izoic, but losing that much traffic would have just been replaced with revenue from AdSense anyways. So it's like.
Well, and it takes all the premium ad slots on your site where you could be doing your email opt-in, your newsletter,
right.
I think it's just a massive loss all around. I think if you have a really low quality site you're kind of done with and it has stable traffic and you're just going to try and monetize it till it dies, then I think it's fine. If you're trying to grow something proper, it just looks so shady. It's like, those weird ads Google ran for a while that before they stopped letting people use them on AdWords, where everyone had the picture of the fat guy and the weight loss thing. It's just that kind of quality of ad. It's the stuff that AdWords doesn't allow anymore. Pretty weak.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a don't tweet this week, so I guess we're just about done, boys.
I don't think I've used any new tools lately to review.
No, any suggestions on new tools we can try out? If you guys send us the recommendations, we'll
I'm gonna have somebody run me some Quora reports because I haven't tried that yet. See what that all has to say.
I'm a Surfer SEO subscriber now, so if we want to do that next week, we can.
Cool.
It's pretty good.
Stick it on the doc now so we remember, and you can do it next week.
Cool.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, I'll do a little walkthrough.
We should try and I think we need recommendations. So if you guys send some tweets in. I'm at SD Brownlee. Lynn's at Word Agents. Garrett is, I forget.
At Garrett Pilato.
That's it. So send us some tweets if you want us to try out a tool. We'll put it into the schedule. Because I think it'd be cool to do a tool most weeks. Because I think that's something everyone can get some value from. And when you find a good one, it's super useful.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, good to see you all again.
Smash that like button, email Sassy Steve, or tweet at him, like we just said. Share, subscribe, and
yeah, we need lots of comments, shares, subscribes and stuff this week.
We're happy to talk about other topics. I know that we kind of talk about the same stuff, so if you have questions, we're happy to talk about whatever. But people have to send in questions for that to happen.
And if you're a small business owner and you want us to talk about your site for half of the show instead of the main topic, you're more than welcome to come on live as well.
Sounds good, boys.
All right.
See you all later.
See you next week. Take care.
Yep.